Hello and welcome to the Sol y Luna Inspirations. This week we'll be talking about Sagittarius New Moon coming up on Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022. It's going to happen at 2:57 p.m. in the Pacific Standard Time, and it is highly associated with the search for meaning.
Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome all 335 subscribers. It's growing slowly but surely. Thank you so much. The last video we had 8 people subscribing. So if you like what we have to share, please subscribe. Also, any sharing that you can do with your tribe and comments and questions are greatly appreciated. So in this video, we're going to be discussing a number of different issues. So the myth of Sagittarius and the eclipse season hangover, the Mercury Venus conjunction trine Chiron, the Jupiter Neptune in Pisces, that conjunction trine the new moon and sextile Pluto in the 10th. Then we also talk about Uranus in the 1st and Saturn separating. And then Mars retrograde square Jupiter, Neptune, trine Saturn. That's a lot of information, but we're going to flesh it out for you. This eclipse season hangover and the transformation of Sagittarius energy from Scorpio, what does that mean? What happens? So we see in the course of the coming week, leading to the full moon, to the new moon, we're going to have the sun entering Sagittarius. We're going to have Venus and Mercury entering Sagittarius. So now everything is in Scorpio still, and very intense alignments with the Scorpio, Pisces. There's grand trines going on. So this is the chart of the 14th. So today is the day we're recording this, and just to give you a little bit of an idea of all that Scorpio energy and what's going on, we have a Sun, Mercury, Venus in trine to Jupiter, Neptune, in trine to the moon. So that's a water grand trine, and everything. Then Pluto down at the tip of the grand kite. So then we have this powerful grand kite, and all of this grand trine will be activated throughout the next week leading to the full moon. As the moon moves along, the grand trine will shift. And then there's a Mercury, Venus, Sun, Pluto, Mars, finger of God as well. So that's what I was talking about in terms of the Scorpio the Scorpio new moon, the Taurus full moon that we just lived through. Sorry, we have a hangover, so what is that about, this hangover and the eclipse season? Sorry about the choppiness of this all. We're just learning how to use the pause button. But so you saw in the chart, everything is in Scorpio, and we're having this Scorpio this eclipse season hangover. So it feels like we're still really in this Scorpio full moon, and the aftermath of it seems to be just as intense as it was going on. So you can see with all of these planets in Scorpio and that grand kite in this chart that we just showed you, that's the energy right now. And as we move forward in time, we're going to build into this new season, which is the sun coming into Sagittarius. Now,
before that happens, like before the sun comes into Sagittarius, because this this new moon is at 0 to 1 or 0 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's right as the sun enters, the moon comes to join it. Before that happens, isn't Mercury and Venus also going into Sag beforehand?
Yes, all of it, everything is coming into Sag, but we're talking about the Scorpio and the Sagittarius and the difference, you know, the Sagittarius season. Every water sign is followed by a fire sign. You know, the experience of death and rebirth that Scorpio signifies in the journey of the sun around the zodiac in the year. It's an evolutionary process. And so in Scorpio, we meet for the first time the experience of death and this process of rebirth. You know, it's a very difficult realization to come when we have to face our own shadow and our own darkness. And so we had the eclipse season in Scorpio Taurus axis. And so that was a very moving, you know, eclipse seasons come every 6 months, and they kind of predict the next 6 months ahead. And so this energy of Scorpio will be with us. And it is what it is that is seeking to die in us so that it can be reborn. And so this Sagittarius season always follows Scorpio, where now we search for meaning. We ask why. Why am I feeling all of this darkness? Why this experience of death and rebirth? What is about death? So Sagittarius is the quest for meaning. And Sagittarius leads to the winter solstice. And Sagittarius Capricorn, this winter solstice, it's really about meaning. And so then, like you were saying, all of these planets, the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Venus, they're all entering pretty much together into Sagittarius. And so this full moon, this new moon should bring quite a change of energy and insight into the meaning of what we're going through. I think that a lot of us in Scorpio, the experience of Scorpio is really kind of dark and it's chthonic. No, it's not understandable readily, you know, what we're going through. It's kind of more like in the body, you know, in our emotions. And with Sagittarius, finally, we're going to get some intuition and some clarity and some insight as to why we're going through this period. And so that's the Sagittarius season.
I like it. I think of Scorpio sometimes as like a lake, like it's that stagnant water or seemingly stagnant water, but everything is actually like a whole world under the surface. And so it can be very like murky in the bottom of lakes and really thick and lots going on, but it's hard to like express or understand. And then Sagittarius like looks at the lake and can see, oh well, yeah, it's giving life to like the tadpoles and the frogs and the birds and the everything, but that it takes like a higher like vantage point to be able to see what's going on.
And that vantage point in Sagittarius, but in Sagittarius and in Capricorn, these are the darkest 2 months of the year, huh? So this light of Sagittarius, it's an inner light, you know. So then we have that sun and moon conjunction and Mercury and Venus conjunction, and that Mercury and Venus conjunction is very insightful. You want to pull the chart?
Yeah, the chart for the full moon? Yeah. Sorry, new moon.
So here we are. So you can see that Mercury, Venus, sun and moon in Sagittarius. Now the sun and the moon are making a trine to Jupiter Neptune, and then up to Pluto, forming that little triangle there. Dave's going to get a pen. Here we go. The sun and the moon, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto up there. So that really is about this transformation. And in Jupiter, Neptune, Jupiter is turning retrograde, direct, stationed direct at the time of the new moon. But then we have that Jupiter Neptune conjunction in Pisces, which really is very hopeful. It's mystical. And so then the energy shifts, and because all the sun and the moon and Mercury and Venus are all in Sagittarius, that's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in own sign. So I see this new moon, the progression to the new moon to be really challenging, but then the new moon being very insightful in terms of our destiny.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of started right now, as all these planets are at the end stages of Scorpio trining this. It's like this last eclipse is really hard, but there's this like beacon of hope somehow that's coming through, and maybe it's this Jupiter Neptune trine that we're all feeling at the moment.
The other thing too is that Mercury Venus in trine to Chiron. So that Mercury Venus in trine to Chiron, I did some research. So Mercury Venus, they had a son named Hermaphrodite, which is Herma is Hermes, Mercury, and Aphrodite, Venus, hermaphrodite. So it's the bisexual son of Mercury, Venus in Sagittarius, so Mercury and Venus were traveling through Scorpio, and that was really dark. And then the shift into Sagittarius, social, inspirational Sagittarius, but then Mercury and Venus make a trine to Chiron, the wounded healer. So then this quest for understanding of our wounds, with this Scorpio full moon, Taurus full moon, we were really faced with our darkness. And then now we can be more engaged in giving a voice to our wounding and turning the dark into light. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's that Mercury Venus. What did we call that? Separating the wheat from the shaft, in this experience of Scorpio facing the darkness. There's a lot of rich material that comes. And because it's an eclipse season, that material, we're going to be seeking to express it. And so that Mercury Venus in Sag, in trine to Chiron, expressing creatively all of these wounds that are actually the gifts from our ancestral line, which is really fascinating. The curse is the gift.
Isn't that how it goes the more you go down the healing path? Yeah.
So then we talked about the Neptune Jupiter and finding hope and faith in confronting the darkness of our times. That's really what is triggered in all of us. Yes, we have our darkness personally, but also the darkness of our time is overwhelming. A lot of what we're feeling is collective. And so with Jupiter, Neptune there's kind of a prayerful, hopeful way of engaging with the darkness of our time. And isn't that the challenge that we're facing in 2023, where do we go from here? And so this new moon will be a real potent change into this preparation for the winter solstice and the new year ahead.
I love that. Yeah, that would be a really productive and light-filled use of these energies. There's also, when you say like the dark aspects of humanity right now, there's also still this residual Saturn Uranus coming out of square, which they're coming out here, but what do you think?
Well, Saturn and Uranus, now the square is separating. Separating means that Saturn is moving away. So Uranus is still moving retrograde, and then Saturn is moving direct, and it's moving really fast. They're already 4 degrees apart. and Saturn's only turned direct just a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago. So it's moving really fast apart. And then Uranus is in the first house. So the light bringer, is something, like whenever Uranus is prominent, we like, let your freak flag fly is the expression I use, so Uranus in the first house will really have done a tremendous amount of discipline put into the revolutionary, we're much more wholesome. And even though the craziness of the collective narrative still is fever pitch, there's a much more of a sense of where do we make peace with the light bringer. And then as Saturn moves into Pisces, which will happen very quickly, then that's going to be another powerful energy change, but that's not going to come till 2023. And then we have that Mars retrograde, right?
Yeah.
And
it's kind of ruling the chart as we're all still in the Scorpio days at the moment.
Well, Jupiter rules all those planets, but yes, Mars plays a very important role in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, and so that communication, finding our voice, and then Mars retrograde squares Jupiter, Neptune, so renewal, Mars retrograde is a renewal process, so a renewal of uncertainty and doubt, searching for the light of meaning. So this new moon is a very introverted, although Sagittarius tends to be extroverted. But I think that, to me, the winter solstice, the month of Sagittarius and the month of Capricorn, they're really ideal time for reassessing your goals. We're moving from one year to the other. We're coming into the transpersonal season. We're coming into the winter season. Great time to have really strong spiritual discipline and engagement and focus on the inner light, which is the meaning of Sagittarius. And so, yes, go ahead.
I was just pointing at Sagittarius, I guess, just to break it down a bit more, like it's that fire mutable, which I always find so neat, because even though it's got that, it's the association with the glyph being the arrow, it's an arrow, but it's always changed. It feels like it has the potential to always change its trajectory.
Right.
And so it can really help to change anything that's stagnant within us, and also change the course of life in general.
The symbol of Sagittarius is a centaur, so horse, donkey, and human. So it symbolizes the animal self and the human or the divine self. And the arrow pointing upwards means, aiming at the highest point. So, if anything, Sagittarius is the quest for meaning. It's the opposite of Gemini. Gemini is the quest for information. Sagittarius wants to know what all that information is about. What is this all about? And especially after such a profound experience of Scorpio, now comes almost a religious quest for an understanding of my relationship with God. That's kind of Sagittarian in essence, huh?
Yeah, it's true.
So now we're going to look at the important dates ahead.
There's a lot of shifts that happen right around.
So on the 17th, Venus enters Sagittarius. On the 18th, Mercury enters Sagittarius. Then we have that Mars squared Neptune and Jupiter on the 20th. Then Mercury Venus conjunction on the 20th as well. This is a really important time now, because Mercury and Venus now are becoming the evening stars. And now for the next 6 months or so, Venus is going to get higher and higher and brighter and brighter. And for the next 30 days or so, Mercury will be getting higher and brighter. So we're going to see those two at sunset. And we'll talk more about these as we go along. Then the sun ingress into Sagittarius on November 22nd. And then Jupiter turns direct on the 23rd. And then we have our Sagittarius New Moon. So it'll be a busy week. And it's gonna be palpable in terms of the shift of energy.
Yeah, this is just for the degrees. If anyone's following your chart, I concur you to do so. When we have that Mercury Venus conjunction, it's going to be at 4 degrees of Sagittarius, and the new moon's at 1. So looking in your chart, wherever that 1 to 5 degrees of Sagittarius is, that's probably where it may be very active in your life.
It's also 1 to 4 degrees in Gemini as well as in Pisces, and also in the Virgo, right?
The
mutable signs will all be triggered. I have a grand cross on those degrees.
This will be a week.
I have Jupiter on the fourth degree of Sagittarius. I have Mars at 3 degrees Gemini. I have my Sun at 2 degrees Pisces, and I have my Pluto at 2 degrees Virgo. So this new moon falls right, and this Mercury Venus conjunction fall right on my Jupiter. I would expect good luck and good things to be manifesting.
That was my next question for people following. When you see that, like, what do you take away from that? But good luck is a good thing to focus on.
Well, getting insight, again, the path through these two eclipses that we've went through in Scorpio Taurus, they really confronted us with quite a bit of darkness about ourselves and about our times, and this quest for meaning, and so, pain is the best teacher we have. And so all of this pain that we've been through, insight will come from it. And that's really the great blessings of Sagittarius following. And it's interesting, each of the water sign, which very difficult for most of us to face our emotions, is followed by a fire sign, intuitive. And so it's part of nature that after we go into the depth, we get insight from the fire signs.
Excited for times of insight around the corner then, because it's been a whirlwind.
And you have some medicine insight for us.
Yeah, so as we move into Sagittarius season, Sagittarius in the body rules the thighs. It rules the thighs of the body because those are the strongest, biggest muscles that get us in our journey. So as we're walking or biking and traveling around the world, which Sagittarius is so connected with, it's the ruler of that. It's also in the tissue salt world connected to silica. Silica, again, is one of these main movers in our body. It helps things travel throughout the body. It really helps connective tissues of the body, so helping everything move around the body, but also stay connected and whole. And it's really good if you are noticing low stamina and maybe a little insomnia and depletion, which can happen, any time of year, but especially if the Scorpio season hit you hard, can really help to re-nourish and invigorate the body and keep things moving, energy moving in the body. Also help with better sleep at night, more energy in the day. And then for the herbs, Sagittarius is a fire sign, and it's often associated with getting things too hot. So that can be hard on our liver, our digestive system, if things are too hot, and our blood. And so the herbs that are associated are things that help cool the blood if you're in fever state, or if you're in too hot of a blood or liver state. So things like that are burdock, chicory, dandelion, red clover, and agrimony. Those are also really good for the heart. That would be like a really healthy morning coffee right now, is to not overdo it, but to still have that ritual instead of coffee, using that burdock, chicory, dandelion, cooling, energizing, healing, but not overdoing, which Sag energy can lead to.
It's interesting, in the mythology of astrology, we have Sagittarius, which is a centaur, And we also have Chiron, which also is Centaur.
Oh,
And the wounding of Chiron was on his thigh.
huh.
And Hercules had brought a arrow that he had dipped in the poison of the Hydra demon after killing it, and he came to visit his spiritual teacher Chiron, and the arrow cut Chiron on the thigh. Now Chiron is a god, so he's immortal, but the poison was mortal and incurable, and Chiron is also a healer, but he couldn't cure this poison. So that's the paradox of the wounded healer, which is associated with Sagittarius, but also associated with Chiron, and that puts a new meaning to that Chiron, Mercury, Venus, in this particular full new moon. Fascinating, huh?
That's so neat. Thanks for sharing that.
So this is the Healer and the Dreamer Astrology channel. Please subscribe, please share. This is how our channel grows. I'm Martin Comtois. If you'd like to reach out, Spirit of the Times 108@gmail.com. And Day by Day Healing, Dayana Robinson is also available, daybydayhealing@gmail.com. It's been an honor as always. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see. Thank you, Dave. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks, Martin.
And we're getting better at this. We're having some growing pains, but I think that the content was really good today. Thanks for tolerating all of our errors as we get better, and thanks for supporting us. And we'll see you next time.
See you soon. Happy shifting energies.
Yay, Sagittarius.